Hello, good evening. I'm here this evening, as you can see, underneath my square ceiling. No, I'm only joking. So many people like to sit wherever they want, bedrooms, kitchens, anywhere they want. That's okay. But on a more serious note, it has become more and more apparent with all of the bloggers here in the Philippines who try and help those that are coming to the Philippines to sort out in their mind what they're going to need in the way of money. Now, they use the word budget, and I think that's where the confusion is. A lot of Americans see budget in a different way than really what they're actually meaning by it. Expenses are not budgets. You can budget for an expense. In other words, you can put aside in your mind what you want to have so that you can enjoy your holiday, you can enjoy maybe your setting up of coming to a different country. All those things are different. Now, many people message me or they talk or send messages by way of the comments on the channel. Can I live on this or can I live on that? Well, the simple answer to that is, can you live on that amount in your own country? And then you have to ask yourself, what are your everyday costs of your everyday expenses? What are your expenses? What is your average power bill? What is the cost of running your car? What is the cost of filling your car? What is the cost of your water supply to the home? If you have a gardener, all these things, and your food costs. Now, once you've established that you can live on, be it $1,000 American, then you are then asking a question to a complete stranger. Can I live on $1,000 here in the Philippines? Well, the simple answer to that is yes, you can. Now, there are provisors, and a lot of Americans don't seem to be able to separate their overall cost of coming here as opposed to the actual everyday expenses. Now, if you're coming to this country, you're going to get off the plane. You've obviously, hopefully, prepaid your hotel costs. So you've allowed for the first few days. Now, what are you going to plan for the next week, the next month? How long you're going to stay? Have you allowed enough money in your back of your mind? Not that $1,000 that we keep talking about, but have you allowed enough in the bank or on your card or in your pocket to pay for the rest of your trip? Now, if it's just a holiday, well, you'll know what roughly you're going to allow for each day of stay here. Now, if you're coming here with the intention of you, in a way, burnt your bridges, you've done everything and you'll come here. Most probably, you've maybe sold a car, you maybe sold a motorbike, some belongings in the home that you had. And that's what's given you that little bit of a nest egg to come here. You've allowed in the back of your mind that you have a pension from wherever you get it. And it may well only start at 1,000, it might be a little bit less. But the reality is that that is the steady amount coming into your home, into your pocket every month, every 4 weeks, every month. Now, on top of that, you've allowed for setting up. I hope you have, because not every place that you rent, in fact, most places do not come furnished. They're just the door, the key, open it up. Now, you have to put down your deposit for your power. You have to make sure that you paid the first month at least when you apply for an internet connection at that premises. Neither one is a difficult task. You need to allow for up to maybe 3 months of payment. When you move into your house, the landlord will want a month in advance. He may well want a month in We'll call it security deposit. And if you want to be a little bit ahead, you might allow for another month as well. So there's 3 months maybe that you've got to pay to live there. Fine. You have to arrange for the power to be put on. They may well ask you to put a small deposit, being a foreigner, but that's up to the individual company. Now, on top of that, it's empty, remember? And your girlfriend's getting a bit tired of sleeping on the floor. As same as you, with the little backpack that you use as a pillow. I'm joking, of course. But you might need to go out and buy what most Filipinos sleep on, which is a mattress. Yes, it's a 4-inch, a 5-inch, a 6-inch mattress. And they can cost you from a couple of thousand pesos up to maybe 5, depending on what you're looking for. Or you could spend 20 and get an inner sprung mattress, the kind you're used to back home. Again, you need that money behind you. Now, if you don't want to sleep on the floor, you might have to buy a bed. That will maybe cost you anything from 12 to 20,000 pesos. Not a lot of money, but if you need it in your savings. Now, you got no plates, you got no knives and forks, you got no kettle to turn on, you got no microwave. All these things, and you may not even have a cooking plate to cook on. In other words, you might not have a gas stove. So you might have to buy one of those cheap ones for about 3,000, sometimes a little bit less. And then you need to buy a bottle, which will cost you about 1,000 pesos of gas per, maybe it lasts you up to 2 or 3 months use. But again, you probably have to pay a rental on the bottle if you don't own it. I don't know exactly what that is, but that's something you have to find out. Now, already you haven't got any food in the house, you have no refrigerator. Oh, I need a refrigerator. You can go on Marketplace in Facebook. In your local area, you may well find a second-hand fridge. Or you go down to a local shop and you can buy a fridge from around 12,000 pesos. And you can buy a pretty fancy one for 25,000, 30,000. You can go to the top of the range and buy a 2-door one, and it'll cost you 70,000 pesos, and that's delivered usually. There may be a charge of 400 or 500 pesos to deliver it as well. Now, already you've got a fridge, you've got a stove to cook on. You haven't been to the market, right? Well, getting stocked up in the market, you're going to be maybe looking at spending 10 grand if there's 2 of you there, because you'll want to buy a week's supply. You'll want to have basic commodities for like salt, pepper, sauces, all those sorts of things that you can buy in a supermarket. And try not to buy them at a sari store, because you're going to pay about another 10% more, because they have to make their money and they buy it in the same place that you can buy it, which is a supermarket. Now, all of these things are not coming out of your $1,000 a month to live on. Remember that. Do not get confused when people say you can't live on this, you need this and you need that. Now, the only thing that's going to really affect your 1,000 a month is how you live. If you're going to spend, $300 a week or a month, let's say $300 a month on alcohol, of course you've only then got $700 to pay all the other costs. So think positively. Think with your clear head. You're only concentrating on that woman at the moment, and if you want to try and get your finances into place, you can live on 1,000. There are plenty of people I know that are living on 500 and 600. They're not living the high life, but they're living a comfortable, sustainable life. They're not paupers. They're not scratching together a sandwich because they can't afford to buy anything else. And don't believe that somebody who lives in a condominium, as I often describe as in their ivory tower, or are living in a 30,000 peso a month rental on the seafront, or maybe they were lucky enough to have built themselves a house. And I'm saying lucky because they're fortunate that they can afford to build one. I'm fortunate enough that I was able to build a home. Mine isn't a 20 million peso house, but there are some people that got them, and good on them. If they're happy with that, that's fine. But the thing is, there are many people out there that want to build their homes in Western style. Again, that's their choice. But it will cost them many more thousands or hundreds of thousands of pesos to do that. Because the way you build a house is the way you spend your money. If you spend it with no thought to the actual cost, you just money no problem, then you're not in the same league as somebody who's coming here on a frugal budget, trying to change their life from what is going on in their own country, and realizing that they have to maybe step down a peg or two. It doesn't mean you have to go around begging. It doesn't mean you're going to have to be unhappy. You can be happy and be frugal at the same time. I've got friends that spend maybe 3,000 a month on liquor, and they drink happily. They go and share a drink with their friends nearby, and they have a good time. They have a good life. If you smoke, that's another cost. All of these things will affect that dollars a month. And we're talking $1,000. Usually most people talk in terms of American dollars because that's where they're coming from, most of them. And if you're talking Aussie dollars, it's a different story. New Zealand, another one. Pounds is another one. And euros is another one again. So, guys, do not be put off by these well-meaning bloggers who think that you can't live on 1,000. Well, you can. And you can live a pretty good life, and you can make a good life for your partner. And yes, even if she's got a few kids. Yes, it will bite into a bit of the money, but you have to be careful. Eat as simply as you can, but nourishing food. Make it at home. Make even one day a week or one day a month. Go to a restaurant. Have a day out. Go enjoy the relaxing of somebody else cooking for you. But generally speaking, on $1,000 a month, you do a lot of cooking at home. In fact, most of it. Now, if you can't cook, and she's not very good at cooking your kind of food, then you, I'm afraid, are going to have to learn how to do it. And where better? YouTube. This is how you learn things. You'll make muck-ups. You'll think, oh, that's yuck. I'm not going to eat that again. Try again. Try different foods. Look in the market for the cheapest kind of vegetables. And I'm not saying cheap quality. Cheap in terms of so much per kilo. Ask them how much they were per kilo. Potatoes are notoriously more expensive than buying sweet potato. But there are other alternatives to potato. Don't ask me right now, but I'll give them to you later. But the point that I'm really trying to make is, don't be put off at $1,000 per month to come and live here. And do not get caught up in that stupid rich man's way of looking at things. You have to analyze the cost effectiveness of this, blah, blah, against rent, against buying. My goodness, buying the house, building the house, buying the land is nothing to do with $1,000 a month to live on. That is capital costs, and that has come from your savings, the bulk of the money you sold your Cadillac for, and you sold all of your antiques and all your fancy guitars and your Harley Davidson. All those things are what are now going to build you your future home. And you don't have to build a massive home. You can build a simple 4-roomed building where you are comfortable in one as a bedroom. Maybe you've got a spare room as another bedroom, and the rest is open plan, kitchen, dining room and lounge. And you can be happy in that. My goodness, Huckleberry Finn, Gilligan's Island. It doesn't have to look like a Gilligan's Island house either. It can be quite functional building. So it's up to you. You make up your own mind. But I'm telling you, these bloggers who say you can't live on $1,000 American dollars, 55,000 pesos a month, that is what you can live on. And therefore, as a result, I hope you listen to some of what I'm saying and realize that they're trying to confuse you about the money that they want you to divide the amount of rent you're paying out of the cost of your... it's confusing even for me to think about it. The reality is, if you're renting, of course that has to come out of either of your savings or it has to come out of your $1,000 a month. So it's up to you how you choose to live your life. But you can have a good life here on $1,000 a month. Yes, you won't be doing walking street. No, you won't be paying for bar fines. You won't be buying prostitutes. You won't be travelling all around the country at your leisure. You won't be flying off to Miami one week and Singapore the next. Why? Because you don't have enough money, but you can still have a good life. And yes, you can travel. It's very cheap to travel around the country, but you might have to just put aside a bit and save for it and do it once every 6 months or once a year, just like you would have done back home. So if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and stop listening to those idiots. Bye now.